There's more to being a Buffalo Bills fan than breaking tables. Welcome to the More Than Breaking Tables podcast, a show about what really makes up the greatest fan base in the NFL. We're talking football with experts and fans from around the country. Here's your host and proud member of Bills Mafia, Connor Kobus.
What's going on, Bills Mafia? Connor Kobus here with Pasquale Maggiore. You know what time it is. More Than Breaking Tables time. We are the podcast getting you through this tough preseason as Bills fans, as we are 2 weeks away from the home opener. Today's episode, we're going to talk about what exactly was on display in Chicago Sunday night on Fox. We're going to get into a potential Bills reunion with a former player, how we feel about that. And we're also going to talk about the recent episode of Hard Knocks, as well as what teams might be a better fit storyline. So, Pasquale, I'm going to kick it to you. That was one of the toughest Bills games I've had to sit through in Chicago. And third quarter was about all I could last. Tell me what your takeaway was.
Yeah, good on you for sitting through that. I probably watched about 20, 25 minutes of the game. Haven't even had a chance to go back and watch the 12-minute highlight package on YouTube. So I'm just basically going by secondhand of what I've heard from other people. Once again, I'm not going to overreact. It's a preseason game. We lost pretty bad last year to the Bears as well in a similar preseason game. So I understand that people need to have something to talk about to get them through the next 2 weeks. I myself will talk about the beautiful weather we're having in Western New York and just wait for that home opener. I think the biggest takeaway that I've heard from the game is that the safeties played like Pop Warner players. Am I correct on that?
Yeah, we're going to get into that. And I think you were very generous with saying 12 minutes of highlights on YouTube. I think it would be tough to find 2 minutes for the Bills during that game. Not much going on, not many big plays. We did not score. I didn't see much in the separation for QB2 between Mike White and Mitch Trubisky on who would maybe take a step forward to become Josh Allen's backup. Definitely safety, like you said, is an issue of concern. Both Damar Hamlin struggled again. We both know our feelings on him, and he meant a lot to this team a couple years ago, but his play on the field's been lacking. Cole Bishop, second-year player, we drafted out of Utah. He struggled. And I'm going to put my hand up and just admit, you were right, Pasquale. I kind of got into the hype of what I was hearing in practice on Buffalo Joe. And guess what? He struggled in pass coverage. He's the backup to Terrell Bernard. So that concerns me because depth's important in football. And we know the Bills starters are good and what they can do. But if injuries happen, you need players to step up. And I'm concerned at some of the performances that I saw over the weekend.
Yeah, you mentioned Damar Hamlin, and that is always going to be a tough conversation to have. Where can you separate the football player from the human being that we saw almost lose his life on the field? I understand he's done a lot for the community. He's done a lot for the Bills. He's done a lot for raising awareness on the importance of CPR and other heart-related issues. But, he's not. So far, I should say, this year, he's not really cutting it out there, and that's just from a longtime fan, casual observer's perspective. I can't imagine what a person who actually played the game might say about Damar Hamlin's play. If Rodney Harrison has an opinion, we hear from him. I would like to hear what he has to say about Damar Hamlin, but we'll see. But just from what I saw casually on Sunday night, to be more specific, it didn't look very good.
Yeah, and technically, if I'm an opposing team going against the Bills and he's in the game, I want to attack him in pass coverage. He had a rough tackle that he missed on the first drive that the Bears scored a touchdown on. We're used to elite safety play in Buffalo 5 years ago with having Poyer and Hyde together. They're no longer coming through those doors. We need replacements. And as a defense, if you're not getting pressure on the quarterback and he has time to throw, those guys need to make plays in the secondary. I don't see that happening. McDermott has voiced his concern. They're looking for one guy that we can count on who has made plays is Taylor Rapp. So we know what we're getting out of him. He makes big plays. He's picked off Mahomes and Tua in games before. He comes up against the run well. We need someone to pair with him, and that's a big hole in this roster on defense.
For sure, and I think you need another veteran back there to pair with Taylor Rapp. Once again, just my opinion, going on my knowledge of the NFL, as limited as it is, not being a former football player. But yeah, I think we need that veteran presence in the backfield to go along with these young players. Of course, we have Trey White back, who's going to help the cornerbacks, but safety is going to be a whole different deal, a whole different situation. And, talk again has come out. Is Justin Simmons the guy you plug in there? Do we get Jordan Poyer a trip through the fountain of youth? Maybe get him some more ayahuasca, whatever else we need to do to get him back on the field and kind of rewind 3 or 4 years. I'm not exactly sure what we have to do here. Saw something as far as available cap space goes, but I've mentioned this before. I am an idiot when it comes to the NFL salary cap, but I think we have like 1.35. Thank you, Mr. Cook, with that deal getting done now next year going forward. It doesn't affect it this year, but I don't know what we can do.
Yeah, and real quick, we were very close to breaking that James Cook contract. I think it went official on social media maybe like 20 minutes after we signed off our last episode. I know you're probably relieved that drama's over with. He's back, ready to play football. Speaking of safety that you talked about, I shared a tweet with you on X. Some guy the Bills were interested in last year. I don't claim to know everybody in the NFL. I learned just as much as everybody else. The Patriots have a safety, Kyle Duggar. He had a contract for 4 years. He's right now getting reps with the second team for the Patriots. I know you don't normally see interdivision trades as often, but if the Bills are in need of that complimentary player to wrap, he could be a name to think about. I just think you either need to see, I don't think DeMar's the answer. You either need to see a really step up from Cole Bishop or get someone in here that you can trust, because this is a Super Bowl team as constructed right now, and you don't want to have big issues in the pass game.
Yeah, I don't see Vrabel or the Patriots trading within the division, especially at this point in time as they are trying to go upwards in the world. And I don't see them assisting us getting better and better, especially in the secondary when they have that young quarterback. They got Diggs and a couple other weapons. How can I forget the barefooted Mac Hollins? So I think they want to see us have a weak secondary, so I don't see why they would want to trade within the division. It's a good thought, though.
Yeah, and then one thing you brought up, Mac Hollins, he was really beloved when he was in Buffalo. And we talk about your experience as a wrestler and how people's personas can change and characters. The interview he conducted as a member of the Patriots seemed very different from the guy he was in Buffalo, almost unlikable. Did you catch any of that, or are you not familiar with what I'm talking about?
No, I didn't see that, but I will seek that out. Maybe he has a bit of a chip on his shoulder. We don't know the entire situation, what happened with his contract situation here in Buffalo, so I can't really speak on that, but I will go seek that out once we're done here this evening with More Than Breaking Tables.
Yeah, and it kind of just centered around his whole barefoot persona, that he doesn't wear shoes, which he was popular for in Buffalo, and he kind of took a hard stance to it, like people are soft and they like defensive on the whole stance. So that was just very interesting, I thought, because he was one of our favorite players last year for the Bills and came up pretty big with some big catches. Another news, and we're packed with stuff to talk about on this week's episode. A former Bills receiver, Gabe Davis, we all know about his time in Buffalo. Definitely had some big splash plays, struggled with catching the ball at times. He's coming in for a visit after visiting the Steelers. My opinion, his value decreased significantly in taking a year off playing with the Bills. I know he wanted to get that contract from the Jaguars.
Hold on. Let me stop you right now, Connor.
Sure.
Before somebody more professional than us hears that, it's Jaguars, not Jaguars. I was told one time when I was an intern at a local sports talk station, if I were to say Jaguars, I would get in trouble by the people of Jacksonville, Florida. So let's change that. We'll pretend that didn't happen, and let's start all over again.
So I respect what you told me, and I'm going to think about that going forward, but I only care about what the people in Buffalo think of me, so Jaguars it is.
I wish I would have told that individual on that given day what you just told me, but being an intern, you can't really have that much of a voice.
Yeah, just get the coffee and, make everything great. Sure. So yeah, Gabe Davis visiting. The way I see it, he's not coming in to be the number 2 receiver like he was 2 years ago. He's trying to make the roster, provide depth. Obviously, Allen and him have some chemistry. We all know the 4-touchdown game against Kansas City was his coming out party. We remember some of the great highlights, like the 98-yard touchdown pass against the Steelers. He has some good plays. His issue is the drops. And right now, after watching the preseason game, I am out on Elijah Moore. I don't think he makes this roster. I think Shavers is trending up. You have Gabe Davis. You have KJ Hamler. So they're all going to be in the mix. I think it would be wise to carry 6 receivers just because of depth, and you don't know what's going to happen throughout the course of the season. Gabe Davis comes back. Are you happy? Are you disappointed? What are your thoughts?
It's kind of like a meh move to me. I mean, if he wants to play safety, I'd be more interested in that. His great moments were few and far between. You did mention those big moments that he did have. I was in the stadium at the time when he had that big catch against the Steelers, a couple great catches against Kansas City, but I think he's not consistent enough. But like you mentioned, if he's here to try to earn a spot, try to win a job, he has to be consistent, get a year here and then go find another contract elsewhere, or else he can be one of those NFL players that flames out after 3-4 seasons and then you're forgotten about.
Yeah, definitely. And it kind of just goes to Josh Allen elevating the people that he plays with and people not having as much success when they leave Buffalo and then trying to come back. And with all the good experiences that they've had with Gabe Davis and his time here with the Bills. Moving forward, sorry, having some technical difficulties here. You can still see me, right?
Yep, you're good. I can hear you too.
Perfect. Something we wanted to talk about that was a mentioning topic that was on my mind. NFL expanding across the world with games being played. We know about the series in London. We know about Germany. They're doing games in South America. I personally hated when the Bills had that Toronto series and we forced to give a home game up there. The way I look at it, it's our team. If people from Toronto want to come, they can drive the 2 hours to see a Bills game. What are your thoughts on NFL expanding globally? Give me your take.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of it at all. I think it's gone a little bit too far and it's a little bit too much at this point. Way too many international games, especially when you have a team like the Bills. If you are a Chiefs fan, if you're a Steelers fan, if you're a Packers fan, if you are of any other like traditional NFL team, you don't want to give up one of those home games. You know, not to mention that nightmare that we watched in Jacksonville 2 years ago, all the injuries that took place in that soccer stadium. I don't want to see that. I don't want to see these players go over there and be put in that position. Maybe you move the preseason games overseas, do something like that, do some outreach with those communities as well. Maybe have a practice a couple days during the week, then you play a game on Saturday, come back home. Maybe you restart the World League of Professional Football, but I am not a fan of the constant expansion overseas. I understand it's a big windfall financially for the NFL, but I think the NFL is doing just fine when it comes to getting the television contracts, getting the streaming contracts, and everything else that the NFL has their hands on right now. And the last thing I want to see is more international games. All right, so we lost Connor Kobus. He had an issue here. So what I'm going to do for those of you folks that are with me right now, I am going to send Connor another invite and get him back on the program. Sorry, we're having some technical difficulties here. Connor had some issues getting into the studio on the way, and we're going to see what he has going on here. So let me just send that real quick. Once again, apologies to you folks that are watching here live on Facebook or X or YouTube. We'll see what happens here. I just resent that to Connor. We'll see if he can get back in. But yeah, as Connor talked about, the international The Toronto series came at a point in time, a very low time for the Buffalo Bills. So they were finding any way that they could led by that evil individual known as Russ Brandon, the man who referred to ticket sales and tickets as inventory. Totally rubbed a lot of Bills fans the wrong way that way. So that definitely didn't age very well. Those games looked horrible on television. They were playing in the Rogers Center, then known as the Sky Dome, I believe. And it just didn't look good. Not to mention, me speaking as a Bills fan, as a longtime Bills fan that dates all the way back to the mid 1980s, I cannot stand those jerseys, that darker blue with the white, with the dark blue trim and accents around it. Did not like that era of our uniforms at all. Not to mention, that was the era of horrible quarterback play. And I just was not a fan of the Toronto series. Once again, we talked about, we've seen the Bills go over to London. There were rumors this year that the Bills would be playing in Germany. Thankfully, that didn't happen. And I don't know off the top of my head the other countries that we're talking about expanding into when it comes to the international games. I know Mexico City might be an option. Are we going to do an international game even further out? Are we going to look at China? Are we going to look at Russia? How far can this expansion possibly go? You know, you see the WWE, UFC, boxing promotions go into Saudi Arabia. They go into Dubai. Are we going to have NFL games in the Middle East? Imagine that travel, getting off, adjusting to the weather, practicing, playing a game, flying all the way back home. I don't think it's fair to the players, not to mention the fans. But once again, you know, we're talking about the NFL where they have dollar after dollar after dollar after dollar coming in from so many different partnerships through broadcast, through streaming, through everything. The NFL making money hand over fist, not a care in the world. But once again, when you get into that mentality, that mindset, do you really care that the fans are disappointed that they're not seeing their home team on Sunday at 1 o'clock or Sunday at 4 o'clock or Sunday at 8 o'clock? So it's just not a big fan of the international series any way, shape, or form. So I'm glad that Connor brought that up, and I'm glad that Connor mentioned it. Connor is trying to get reconnected here with the program. Like we talked about at the top of the program, Connor had an issue with his computer, so we're trying to get those issues worked out and get on with the program here. And I think we have Connor back, maybe almost back. Let's see what we got here. Let's play some Price is Right music. See what we can do. Do we have Connor? No, Connor, I do not have your microphone, so I'm going to keep talking. When Connor and I discussed what we were going to talk about on the program here today, I did mention to Connor in our text message conversation that I did get Madden last week on Thursday. Now, those of you hardcore gamers, you might have gotten Madden the week before. You got the digital download. I am not a digital download guy. I need to have the physical disc. I need to have the actual box that the physical disc comes in. I can't have the digital download and go that route. I'm an old school guy, so did something different this year. Last couple of years, I went to GameStop, got the game, did the whole pre-order deal, went to pick it up on the day of. I talked about being overcome by the smell of blue hair dye. Maybe I got a little bit of a contact high when I went into GameStop, so I decided not to do that this year. Woke up 5 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning, normal time, had my wife go on the Target app and pre-order the Madden game. Target had it for me. I had to wait till I had a break in the day, went on my lunch, about a 10-minute drive to Target, back and forth, grabbed that game, and once I was done with the day, tore that game open, threw that disc into my PS5, and after about 45 minutes of updates and uploads and all this other fun stuff, I was finally able to play a little bit of this year's Madden. A lot of similarities to the last year and the year before and the year before that's game. I'm not going to be that person, that hardcore gamer who's going to
Am
complain
I?
about that. Oh, I believe Connor's back.
Oh, man. Oh, that was stressful. Technology. I was looking, the ratings went down significantly once my feed got cut. What were you doing?
Well, that's what happens when you're streaming on a Commodore computer, Connor. Get in the 90s here.
Yeah, I do need to upgrade my laptop. I did connect back in to hear you talking about Madden. Are you telling people you're undefeated?
No, I've only played one preseason game, and I lost that preseason game, so I'm not undefeated.
What level are we playing on?
All Madden.
Wow, respect.
Yeah, I do like the gameplay. It is crisp. It is sharp. They added a couple of bells and whistles, when it comes to upgrading players and things of that nature. But, a lot of it is the same, and I understand, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I don't have a problem with Madden. I will buy it every year because I am one of those dedicated fans of the game. I'm hoping to play it a little bit more this weekend, and then going into the season. There just hasn't been that much time this week, but for what I've seen of it so far, I'm not going to complain about it. I like it.
Yeah, definitely. And we still have to have our match. If you want to be the Bills, I'll give you the Bills. I'll have to come up with another football team that I want to play with in Madden, which is going to be pretty difficult because, Josh Allen and the Bills are just one of the best teams to play with. Kind of recapping where we were before we had these technical difficulties, we talked about overseas games and all that noise. As a fan, it's sometimes nice to wake up at 9:30 and football be on, but when I hear things of the Super Bowl being played overseas someday, I want none of that. We're keeping everything here in America. I want the games to be here and not to get too far gone with the money and everything. The NFL does perfectly fine with NFL Red Zone, marketing, jerseys, ticket sales. They just need to chill on that, keep what's good here in America, and always keep the Super Bowl in America. So I don't want to hear any of that.
Yeah, and just so you know, as you dropped off there, I am a professional radio guy, so I'm able to keep the conversation going. I am a professional wrestler, so I know how to entertain people and keep the show going, but I do appreciate your concern, and I'm glad to have you back.
Exactly, and that's why we're such a good team, because when I fall off, you can pick me up. That's what we do on More Than Breaking Tables.
All right, we got about 8 minutes left in the program. Do you want to transition over to Hard Knocks next?
Yeah, we're going to talk about the second episode. I was a little disappointed in the second episode. It wasn't very entertaining. We talked about the Bills maybe not being the right team for Hard Knocks based on where they are as a franchise. And I was kind of just thinking about it. How much better would Hard Knocks have been if it was one of the drought Bills teams? Like, can you imagine if Rex Ryan Bills were on Hard Knocks? Say what you want about Rex Ryan, but he's always got something to say. Like, you would deal with starting quarterback battles between J.P. Lossman and Trent Edwards. Just more of a dynamic. The Bills are a great team. We're no drama, so they're doing what they can to find stuff to talk about. But I just feel like there would be so much more in a different era that they can get out of a team.
Yeah, my one takeaway from Hard Knocks before I go into what you just kind of touched on is I don't understand why they're paying people to pretend to be Bills fans. Not a big fan of the fans that they chose, or they paid, I should say, to be on that episode of Hard Knocks. Not really sold on that. But, you mentioned Rex Ryan as the coach. Imagine if the Bills were in Toronto and you had Russ Brandon's face on the screen, how annoyed people would be seeing that smug guy's face on their screen, knowing how much damage he has caused to a once proud franchise, not to mention people like Doug Whaley and other, coaches that have come and gone, and just not to mention also quarterbacks. It's like, yeah, there's not much to it. I didn't see the preview yet for tonight's episode, but I'm assuming it's going to be a lot about the bad loss on Sunday. We'll spin that. Maybe we'll see more KJ Hamler on his scooter or his trike, whatever it's called. Maybe Deion Dawkins will be drifting again. I'm not sure exactly what to expect this week. It's been kind of a quiet week outside of the realm of that big preseason loss. Yeah,
and a 24-hour rule with any Bills game. Take 24 hours. You can be down about it. We're moving on. Ultimately, it's preseason. We talked about what the Bills need to do to fix that. One more of these to go through. I know it's tough. We have Tampa Bay this Saturday night in Tampa, and I actually got posed the question: if you got free tickets, would you go to the game in Tampa? And I said no. I'm not going traveling for a preseason football game. Would you go?
If I can get a good deal on airfare, I probably would. I have a very good friend that lives in Tampa, so I might go down, visit him, check out the sights and sounds, maybe take a trip over to Hogan's Beach Shop over in Clearwater Beach, check that out, pay homage to the greatest professional wrestler of all time. I probably would do it. We're getting near the end of summer. Fall is coming real quick. So, I mean, if I had the opportunity to land some cheap airfare, yeah, hey, why not? I got to get myself from the airport to the stadium and get myself around town. Not a big deal. Grab a hotel or stay at my buddy's house. I would definitely do it if it was a easy opportunity to do so.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, I've been to Tampa Bay before for a regular season game. Tom Brady on the Bucs, Josh Allen. That was thrilling. I just don't get the excitement on preseason. If it's at home, sure, I'll maybe go to a game for cheap tickets. But yeah, I'm not traveling for preseason. So that was an interesting take on that.
Wait, you were at that game too?
Which preseason game?
No, you were at the Bills-Tampa game?
Yeah, that was great. Tailgate was great.
I was there too.
I had really nice seats. I was in the 100 level.
Yeah, right after COVID, right?
Yeah.
Well, for Florida,
yeah,
quicker. But yeah, we were in the end zone. The pirate ship was behind us.
Yeah, I mean that game went to overtime. We came back. It was an awesome game. Like I was with Bucs fans. It was just like sometimes opposing fans can talk some healthy shit to each other, but sometimes you just got to appreciate when it's just a great game. And that was one of those games. I know Tremaine Edmonds was on the team, and in overtime they threw a drag route to a receiver who just beat him on the speed and scored the touchdown. But that's definitely a Bills game I remember. It just sucks losing to Brady. I hate losing to Tom Brady, which I want to get into before we wrap up. The Fox broadcast, Julian Edelman. I don't need to see him on TV. I don't think he's good at all. Doesn't provide any value to the broadcast. I have my issues with Tom Brady as a broadcaster, but what is your talk, someone with a broadcasting background?
I love Tom Brady in the booth. I have no problem with him. I've gained much more respect for him since he stepped off of the field. I like what he's doing out there with the Raiders. I love how he's taking a chance at being a broadcaster. I see a lot of like lower level broadcasters, especially unentertaining radio talk show hosts, like to take shots at Tom Brady because they feel like they're superior because they went to Syracuse University or they went to Geneseo or whatever broadcasting school is out towards New York City, so they think they can talk down about him. But I mean, let's compare the bank accounts, let's compare the accolades, and let's just let Tom Brady get another victory. That's just my opinion. I know we can agree to disagree on that one, but that's where I stand.
Yeah, and I mean, at the end of the day, it's about ratings. The NFL want people to tune in. Brady, whether you love him or hate him, he's one of the greatest football figures that's ever played the game. So if he's doing a broadcast, probably going to draw more ratings as well, including the matchup. So that's just my takeaway. Didn't want to see Edelman. With just me with the whole Patriots, I get sick of seeing those guys, even though they're not playing anymore, like Gronk and Edelman and Brady. So just brings up that rough stretch during the drought.
Apparently Edelman has a pretty good podcast from what I've heard.
Should we have him on our podcast?
I don't think he would accept that invite, but wishful thinking is wishful thinking.
Healthy debates. We'll think about it. Something to think about. But that actually concludes our episode of More Than Breaking Tables for tonight. I'm going to remember the outro that I forgot last week, so please make sure to follow me at Connor Kobus on X, as well as at Connor Kobus 17 on Instagram. And Pasquale, you can tag yourself as well because we need some more followers.
Yeah, let's get me on Instagram at WNY Pasquale. X, like I said, I'm kind of fading out, but check out my YouTube channel at WNY Pasquale as well. Don't forget, Buffalo Championship Wrestling presents the Big Fall Bash, Saturday, September 27th, the Renaissance Club in North Tonawanda, New York. 6:30 p.m. bell time. A great evening of family-friendly, live and local professional wrestling action. BCW-WNY to get tickets for that, or find us on social media at BCW-WNY.
Thank you so much for joining in. We love to keep bringing you live episodes every week, Tuesdays at 7. Look forward to touching base next week. Stay tuned, and we're only 2 weeks away from the regular season.
Thanks, Connor. Go Bills.
Go Bills.